Yeah.
All right. Super Bowl 39. This is SFL season 4, Madden 18. Super Bowl 39 in the SFL overall, and it is fitting that the perhaps this last season for 18 is coming down to two classic owners, two friends, two homies, Q the Truth, 1566, and I'm your pops, primer time. So, what I want to do is I want to read out some facts first, and then we'll go ahead and conduct the interview. So, this Q's first Super Bowl title was SFL Super Bowl 15 versus I'm Your Pops. I believe that was the Falcons versus the Jets. And I can remember some of those Jets teams, and I can also remember when I'm Your Pops first came into the ACQB. Q and I was talking about this earlier. He had the Bengals, and he was Mr. 720, but I was very happy that the nigga left my division because I didn't want to face that Patrick Willis defense. But I ended up facing some of those Jets defenses and safety talent and defensive line talent was out of this world. Q is entering his third straight Super Bowl in this Madden cycle. And this is his 11th Super Bowl appearance with 7 Lombardi trophies. And what we're going to get to is the epic nature of this Super Bowl here in a second. And B, his first title was in Super Bowl 8 versus Two Silk, aka what's that?
Mint Berry Crunch.
Mint Berry Crunch. Yes, Mint Berry Crunch or Jigglypuff. But anyway, B hasn't been to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl 34. But he has had 14 Super Bowl appearances, also with 7 Lombardi trophies. So the epic nature of this Super Bowl 39, is both gentlemen are fighting for number 8. And both are homies and great friends. Both are admins. Both have 5 titles on Xbox One. Both are only of 3 people with 6 titles in league history, and believe it or not, both have actually lost a Super Bowl to Dirty Chan, and Chan has 2 of his rings coming from both of them. So those are some facts to throw out there. But I wanted to conduct this interview, and one of the questions that I really wanted to ask both of you is, both of you are fighting for 8, and what does it mean for you to actually be fighting for 8, and you're actually playing against your homie? I mean, win or lose, what would this game mean for you?
I guess I'll go first. I mean, he's still my guy at the end of the day. Ain't nothing gonna change in regards to that. But he's hyper competitive. I'm hyper competitive. It's just, I don't know. It gotta be like that. I know everybody, like when the league first started, I guess the sexy pick, I guess you could say, was me versus him every season, because the chatter last Madden was, everybody's just here to watch, B and Q win titles and everything like that. So that carried over to the beginning of this year, and it didn't happen until what's basically the last season. So should be a good game. I know he win, lose, or draw, he gonna give me his best, and I'm gonna do the same. It's like the diplomatic answer. I don't have any ill will. I'm not trying to, kill anybody or anything like that. Maybe if it was a different owner, I'd be running in the crib with the shotgun or something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
sort of like if it were, self-proclaimed great users, self-proclaimed great users who end up leaving middle of the season. But anyway, B, what was it? What was this game? What was this game? Win or lose? What does this game for me mean for you? I mean, you're playing Q. Uh, Ever since I've known one of you, I've known the other one, and what would this game mean for you? Win or lose?
Uh, it's a, I mean, should be a fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to a fun game. Um, really I really wanted to play this game for the simple fact that I haven't had success in this Madden. This is like probably the worst Madden I've had since inception of the X.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my first trip to the Super Bowl this Madden, and it's always good playing against a real sim opponent. A good friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and it'll also give me the right to select the team next Madden, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. Now I actually have a somewhat of a follow-up question based on that because you've won Super Bowl with the Jets, you've won Super Bowls with the Rams, and now you're with the Browns, and you haven't made your stamp with the Browns yet. So, what would it mean for you to actually get that Super Bowl with the Browns? And if you did get that Super Bowl with the Browns, would you then move on to let's just say different pastures? I don't know if they'll be greener, but different ones.
Well, I guess it would be cool to win one with a third team. I never really thought about that, winning with a third team. But yeah, I won't say that I will be leaving the Browns, but it will give me more incentive because I might feel next Madden that I don't want to leave business unfinished. So if I do get the W, there is a good chance that I'll leave the Browns. Not necessarily going back home, but just going to a different challenge.
Yeah. So, now, just real quick. Speaking of back home, I'm assuming that's the Rams. If they end up signing Ndamukong Suh, would it be very tempting for you to go back home?
Not really. If you look at like all the teams that I've had throughout the course of like Madden in general, I always had bad teams. And I like the whole rebuilding process.
Yeah.
The whole, so having a team that's good out the box, I mean, it's cool because that's home, but I enjoy the challenge of building up a bad team, making them relevant in the SFL. So it wouldn't be any more enticing if they don't sign. Just put it that way.
Okay. Now, you both played each other in the opening of season 3, and that was a well publicized game that a lot of owners wanted to see. And talk a little bit about going into that game, and then after that game, what were your sort of reflections on what happened in that game and where you were in this cycle? Did you think that you had sort of like finally arrived in this cycle, or did you feel like there was more I needed to improve on? Talk about that opening game of last season, Browns versus Falcons, and that was in Cleveland. Whoever wants to start that.
Um, well, about the game in general, it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't a statement game.
Mm-hmm.
Like going into the game, I knew it would be or I thought it would be a competitive game, but sometimes you just get your ass kicked, and that's what happened.
That's crazy.
So, just plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Kaiser had a bad day at the
I,
office
I
that
don't
day.
I don't remember exactly when, but this Madden, especially the end of last year, from November to December,
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't um, doing what I usually do. I usually lab a lot more, so I didn't lab at all. I didn't run any games outside of the CFM, and it showed. It definitely showed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was still using a lot of plays that I, uh, you know, come up with, like my playbook from the previous matter,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, like it did last matter.
Right.
Um, so I dropped the ball, and I think that's the season where I lost to the Bengals like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was
So
season two.
yeah, I'm getting the timeline confused, but yeah, it wasn't my greatest performance. Let's just say it was one sided.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Now, this is before Q chimes in on the question. Uh, Not to sort of reveal uh, anything specific, but can we expect some surprises tomorrow night? Um, the sort of that you sort of looked at that may actually give you an advantage.
no.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
usually
let me
when
take the advantage part out of it. Can we expect some surprises that maybe some things that we haven't seen you do in the past that you've been practicing and working on that uh, perhaps can help you?
if we're talking prior to this season, yes. If we're talking this during this season,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to change up anything. I'm not going to change the way I've been playing because that's what pretty much got me here. And
Yeah.
you know, of course, I'm not going to you know run the same game plan against Q that I ran against someone else
Mm-hmm.
because I already know you know not how he thinks, but the level of thinking and what I can do against certain opponents won't fly against Q. But as far as like changing up exactly like my identity or what I do, it won't be anything different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just play my game.
Okay. Okay. Q. Going back
Yep.
to that game, what did you have to say about that game from last season, and um, where were you at that point? And because you had just let's see, you had just
I just lost to Bryce in
uh,
a NFC
you
title game. That's
well
really
actually
where
let's
we were at.
if it's okay. Okay. Yeah. So where were you at that point, and uh, what were you thinking in terms of what do I need to do I need to do anything else, or where were you at
Um,
in that
well,
game?
I guess from the time that I lost to Bryce, uh, basically off the immaculate
Wait,
deflection,
who?
Bryce, the title game. I played the AFC
Who is?
North in
Oh,
season two.
okay, yeah,
Bryce is
okay,
the
that's
Eagles.
okay.
Mr. 0-2 when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
leave. Right. So
just couldn't remember.
Man, you ain't shit. But so what ended up happening was this guy I'm looking at the rest of the season, and I'm just thinking about. Give me 1 second. Man, my bad. Yeah, so I'm basically, and I'm like I know how to destroy this, but I love deflection. Oh, fine and well. All right, cool. That ends up happening. I'm looking at season 2, and I'm excited because at the draft you get to look at the schedule, and I get to see. I think did I open up against UB week 1? Not 100% sure. It was either
Yeah,
week 1 or week 2. It was early.
I think it was week 1 because I watched it. I watched that
Okay.
game.
Yeah. All right. So I was just happy to play the North. Really, I wanted to destroy Jack, which I actually did, and I was looking forward to a competitive game with B. When you playing them, you gotta be on your P's and Q's, Y's and B's, everything, because you make one too many mistakes, and that can snowball one way and be over, like for real.
Right.
So as I was
Right.
saying before, Kaiser basically had like a bad day at the office. That kind of, I guess you could say, swung the pendulum in my favor. But I don't anticipate that again, because the Kaiser from then is not the Kaiser now. Kaiser is a
Right.
MVP and everything like that or whatever. So it'll. I left that game like, wow. Kaiser isn't there yet, but not worried about it because I know the skill level, where he ultimately is at. So if and when I saw him down the road, I already knew Kaiser wouldn't be the same. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Now both of you, I sort of looked at the passing stats, and both of you are in the top. I would say the top 3 in terms of passing stats. And both of the offensive lines are great. And what a lot of people don't realize is what goes into building something like that. And can you sort of walk through, as you approach? I'm not saying like give secrets away or anything like that, but as you approach Madden, even before you look at a roster, do you already have in mind like this is what I want to do? This is the type of line I want to build. This is the type of quarterback I need. Do you already have that stuff in mind, and then when you get to Madden, you start searching, or is it something that you get the game, you look around and say, okay, this is a player that I want on my team? I mean, what goes into your team building?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Shit. All right. So with the team building, I mean, I guess maybe it's a little bit. I mean, it could be a combination of all of that. It's a little bit different for me because I've had my team for a handful of Maddens now. So anything that they do for real, it's kind of sad. But I'm already thinking about how that impacts me in Madden, if that makes
Okay.
any sense. And I guess as the game comes out or you get the access or whatever, everybody's running around and they're playing each other or whatever, basically scouring my roster, and I want to see where the strengths are. You kind of know where they are. You think Julio and things like that or whatever. You look at that and you just kind of group all of that together, and then you go looking at your weaknesses, and you kind of have to almost have OCD. Well, at least I do in regards to that, because you don't really want to have weaknesses, if that makes any sense. Yeah, and if you do, you want to try and make your weaknesses your strengths. So, and it's not like like there are divine secrets or anything like that. A lot of it really is freaking common sense. So
Right.
it's just, all right, I see something like when it started, just for an example, I looked and I had a ton of speed at receiver, and
Mm.
and I had the like the spec catch and everything with Sanu and Julio and things like that or whatever. And the line was pretty good, but it wasn't like great. So as soon as season one started, I made a few tweaks with the line and started a rookie who probably would not have started, for anybody else or whatever. But we were able to have like a lot
Mhm.
of success. And by the end of that year, he was probably my second best lineman. Just by being able to, progress him and work on him all season made him a focus player. And I really focused on the, like, as far as the trenches on the offensive side at that particular time. And basically being able to win the the number one seed, I guess you could say, for a conference has its benefits
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
everybody pretty much gets XP. Random people make the Pro
Right.
Bowl and things like that, and that makes older players expendable. It wasn't like I was running around trying to trade people, and then when I was trading people, they were really good, but they might have been anywhere from 28 to 32 because I had somebody that was 23 years old that was probably just as good as that person, if not better, on a cheaper contract. It didn't make any sense to
Mhm.
tie myself up financially or hoard all of the talent. So it's just really turning your strengths into weaknesses for the most part or whatever, and building your roster the best way you can. A lot of people,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know why they would think it's rocket science. It's really easy.
Yeah. B, did you have anything you want to add to that?
Um, well, basically, like you were saying, you build on your weaknesses. Um, and at the same time, you got to know what kind of owner you are.
Mhm.
If you're someone that really not into developing talent, then stockpiling a bunch of young players that may have the physical attributes to do what you want to do is
Mhm.
probably not the wisest idea. Because if you're not going to develop them, you're not going to. If you're not going to do good with them, you're not going to develop them. If you're not going to develop them, you're going to stay in the same place.
Right.
Um,
And you sort of wasted your time there.
yeah. So for me, and personally, I've always been somebody that can develop my talent. Um,
Mhm.
so it makes sense for me to do you know, what I do. But for someone that's not going to develop talent, maybe you should look at getting some of the the older talent, more proven guys, to do what you want to do. Because basically in Madden, you want to be able to do what you want to do because you can't control 11 people. It's only one
Right.
person you
Right.
can control. And I like to have the comfort in knowing that if I'm in a certain defense,
Mhm.
this corner is going to do what he does if I do what I do in my assignment. If I cover what I'm supposed to cover. So if I can force my opponent to do what I want him to do or what I know he's going to do, as long as my player does what he does,
Right.
then I'm fine. Um, but when you start out with a bad team, it takes a lot of work, and so it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, a lot of trials and tribulations with it. So
Mhm.
um, you just gotta know your mix. Having young talent is cool. You gotta have some older guys. Um, and another big thing that I noticed that people do, which is to me is the most retarded thing in the world. You trade a strength
Mhm.
for a weakness, or to cover one
Right.
weakness, but now your strength becomes your weakness.
Right. Right.
So, you know, It's it's just about being smart. It's not, like you said. It's not rocket science.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You look for what you want to do. If you like to run man, build up man corners. Like to run
Mm-hmm.
zone, you build up zone corners.
Right. And so,
Simple.
both of you have built these teams, and I want to talk about those for a second. So, I mean, this is not to sort of take any jabs at each other or anything, but let's just stick this out for a second. Both of you have built these teams. Uh, who's got the better defense? Who's got the better offense? I mean, the passing yards on the Browns. The Browns have more passing yards. I was surprised when I looked at that.
Why
But
would
the
you be
Falcons,
surprised?
the Falcons, well, because I've played both of you in previous Maddens, B's running game was just fucking legit, and but you had a good running game, but your passing game was more frustrating to deal with. So that's the reason why I was surprised at that when I looked at it. But um, you know, who's got the better run? Who's got the better defense? Who talk about that?
A better defense as far as talent goes. Like, what do you mean better defense?
Let me just say it this way:
As
better
far as
defense as far as
It's a troll
talent and
question.
scheme. I'll put it out there: talent and scheme and mind.
Mine, I would say, I would
Honestly,
like to
don't
think
know.
that we're close to, you know, even as far as approaching the game. Because if you look at some of the teams and some of the things we like to do, we do a lot of things more similar than we do differently. Um, as far as like passing goes, like running, to be honest, I had one good rushing year. Now it was last year with last Madden. Was it last Madden or the Madden before that with Gurley?
It was the one
It was
before
just,
with Gurley. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that was just straight up ridiculous. But
So but as far as like historically rushing, he definitely runs the football a lot
yes, he
better than I
does.
do.
Hmm.
Uh, Passing, I'm not going to say no one's better, but I like to think that I'm amongst one of the greatest in the SFL as far as passing goes. um, I don't know if you might have forgot, but Sean Mannion, um, I had a Mark Sanchez. I had a lot of passing leaders as far
Hmm.
as yards and touchdowns go. But when you say decision making, I guess decisions and reading the defense, I would say Q as he definitely deciphers it better than I do. Or
Hmm.
I might take more risks because if you look at like interceptions to touchdowns, he's usually amongst like the best, and I'm not. I'm
Hmm.
usually throwing 20 picks. I'll have a lot of
Hmm.
touchdowns and pass yards. So, um, but as far as volume goes, I like to think that I'm one of the goats in that
Yeah.
department.
Now let me just ask you this, B. So you said you'll take more risks, but from a mental standpoint, is it in your mind that I'm gonna take these risks, knowing that my defense is going to play this way, so most people are not going to score on me. And then secondly, I do have confidence that even though I take this risk, if I turn it over, that I'm still going to get it back and score. Is that going through your mind? And that's the
Oh,
reason why you take those risks, or
oh yeah,
what's behind that?
that's definitely that's definitely one of the main reasons why I would take any type of risk. Because I feel
Hmm.
if I'm going to take a risk and I can't defend, I'm Bando. No disrespect to Bando, but you know, if I can win a game where I throw, 4 or 5 touchdowns, or 4 or 5 interceptions, that's a testament to me playing uh, some pretty good defense. So
Or
I
seven
would,
or eight.
yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
that.
But maybe as far as passing go, I like to pass as far as timing. I like to time, like when somebody's going to make a cut, make a
Mm-hmm.
route, do this and do that as far as throwing. So it's what I've been doing since the SFL started. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to change my stripes. I'll throw a pick here and there, but I like to think that I would score a lot more than I turn the football over.
Yeah. Now, now, just real quick, what many people don't, what many people in the SFL probably don't know is that you two are also in. How shall I say this? Balachi's league. And you had a game there. What? Just a week ago? Was that a week
Uh,
ago? Or a week
Probably
and
like
a half ago? Where you two?
maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now you're coming into this game, which probably there's more. There is more importance in this game because this is a Super Bowl. I don't know if that one was a Super Bowl, but um, if this is the final season for this Madden, what type of legacy do you want to leave for this Madden? Now, Q, the thing for you is, I mean, like earlier I said that B, Jets, Rams, and he could possibly do this with the Browns. All of your Super Bowls will have been with the Falcons. What would that mean for you to have that Falcons banner there with 8 Super Bowls behind it?
Be honest, I was to be perfectly honest, I was chasing you two for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
saw and shit, even AC. I was chasing AC for a long time. I saw you get 6 with the Ravens. I seen AC win with 3 different teams. If B wins tomorrow, then he wins with 3 different teams or whatever. And I was kind
Mm-hmm.
of always trying to catch up to you guys or whatever. So I guess I finally got there. And then when I got, well, to be honest, when B, I think I hit 6, and then B hit 6 and then got 7, and I was happy
Mm-hmm.
for him,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I was able to get 7 last year, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like the only guy that got 7 with one squad,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
some other things didn't work out when I had the Colts and the Eagles or whatever. That's another story for another day. And so really, if I get 8, then really nothing changes. I guess it would be bragging rights, but me and B don't really do that like to that level or anything like that. So if he gets 8,
Mm-hmm.
then he gets 8. If I get 8, then I get 8. Honestly, we already in rarefied air anyway, and like basically like I was explaining to you before we went live, it's the majority of the Super Bowl appearances are either me, you, or him.
Right.
So that's pretty much that.
Yeah, like when we play, the games are competitive. But as far as being like competitive outside of playing the game, it's like it's non-existent. Nobody. I don't go around saying I got this, or he don't go around saying he got this, or he did this, or I
Right.
did this. You know, it's all mutual respect, and and you would think like we're real close friends, and you would think we would joke around and stuff like that, but you just don't. Like
Right.
I
Right.
It's a level of
I
respect there, I
respect the
guess.
way I respect the way he played the game. It's always win or lose. It's always a fun game to play. And I think this, it's easy to say when you're winning, but I think this gets lost in translation, or it gets lost when you join a sim league. Your main goal, it should be to have fun sim games. It shouldn't be to win. Winning is the byproduct of having fun games, and we all like to win. That's all fun and dandy. But I would take a fun sim game over winning any day.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So
wanted
we
to be
have
mentioned among the best, and that's pretty much where we at right now.
Yeah. So going forward, and we're getting ready to wrap up here. So going forward, somebody's going to win 8. Do you think there is a current outside of you two, right? Chan has what, 3, 4? I think
3,
it's 3.
yeah.
3. Somebody's going to get 8. But outside of you two, who's going to be the first to get 5? Who do you see going forward as possibility of getting 5?
Who
Shit,
has
that's
multiple
tough.
outside of AC and Chan?
But he not here. So
Yeah.
I mean, like that's currently in the league.
that's the thing. That's pretty much it. Pretty much it. Bryce has 1. Austin has 1. Damn. Yeah, that yo.
Gabe? No, he has 1.
Gabe has 1.
Gabe has 1.
He's been to 2, but he has 1.
I would probably say would be Chan if Clint doesn't remain in his division. I mean, it's a lot of factors that goes into that. You never know.
Yeah,
If
it's a tough question to
AC
answer.
goes home and recaptures the magic he had with Black Jesus, he could get the 5 too. But it's like a lot of, and it's crazy because we've had owners that have been here for a long time, and for as long as Rob has been here, he went to 1 Super Bowl and he lost. It's difficult. Like
It is
if
difficult.
we are always, I guess, like the final bosses. People have to basically prove themselves to even get there, and more times than not, they're probably not going to pass that test. So it might be a very long time, if it's not Chain or AC, for somebody to get 5, because there hasn't really been a cycle where somebody just cleaned up a whole bunch of titles. Maybe 2.
Right. And that's the thing for this cycle. B, we 4th Super Bowl here. B is the 4th different owner in the AFC.
Right.
And it's tough, and we talked about it being tough to get back on the last podcast. And there was a sense in which Clint probably was the favorite, but then that ended up happening, and now we have a different owner representing the AFC. So getting back is rough. And then the other downside to that is that a lot of energy goes into it. And then if you don't get back, it's sort of you sort of get a little bit drained. So I can see some guys having getting a little bit burned out. But it's to me it's all a learning experience. But did you guys have anything that you wanted to add going into tomorrow night? Because I'm pretty sure it'll be a heavily watched game for the league, and did you have any final parting messages for people who will be watching you tomorrow night?
Um, no, I guess it's would be it's been real. Win or lose, I'll probably be making an article on poetry leagues. Just giving a rundown of the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
I guess as far as with the Rams, I'm not the Rams, with the Browns. Uh, thanks for it's been I guess I would say one of the more active years or active cycles. Um, and no, thanks for watching.
All right. Q, what about you?
I'm laughing because I was told by AC, I'm not gonna call him his other moniker right now because I don't I don't want him yelling via text. But meow. But he told me wow. All right, so he basically told me outside of my only competition in the NFC being a guy who loves to do acid, I'm essentially quote unquote Braun in the Eastern Conference. And I laughed. What about it? Is 100% right. Then the tournament of power, but replace the T with a Q, and I thought that shit was hilarious as well. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I want to say people should look forward to a show. I'd like to take the time to say that when we're playing this game, it won't be 1,700 fake hikes at the line of scrimmage, or anything like that. Probably be a lot of cat and mouse. As all like really good games, if you're playing anybody skilled, like I was saying, I believe on the last podcast, you're playing people that you respect and you know that they're good. It's gonna be a high level of cat and mouse and checks and dummy
Right.
calls
Right.
and things of that nature or whatever. So we'll we'll be looking forward to that because I know no matter what, I'm gonna have fun. So that's pretty much that. Jack is
All
gonna
right.
cuss me
So,
out for
hey.
doing the nice guy shit, but I don't really have anything mean to say. I will say that I was a little disappointed in the league because I was looking in the chat last night and my son and like the underlying consensus and I was feeling like everybody thought Clint was gonna win, and I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand how, and
Mm-hmm.
that I mean there's a lot of different things that play out, but there are gaps in the skill level. Like the skill levels don't match up. So if
Mm-hmm.
everything goes the way it's supposed to, you can kind of look at a game and pretty much know who's gonna win, minus or
Yeah.
barring any hiccups or anything like that. So I thought it was a little bit surprising that people were kind of picking Clint to win. I was getting told I better not let Clint win if he makes it to the Super Bowl again. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm like, yo, you
Wow.
can't
So,
even
hey,
say
if
that.
you
Like I'm
are
not
out
even
there
expecting to
listening,
play
Clint,
Clint.
somebody has a vendetta against you.
Half the league texted me the day of the last Super Bowl. I'm with 38, telling me I better not lose. Like I better not let the league down and all of this other stuff or whatever. So,
Wow.
man, it is what it is. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just looking
Well,
forward to
you know what?
having fun.
See, we were going to close with that, but now that actually begs another question. So, let me ask you guys this: Do you think there's a sort of back channel discussion going on about you know some people don't want certain people to win and things of that? Do you think that goes on?
Wouldn't be surprised.
Uh, yeah.
Would not be surprised. Richard
The,
hints at it
the
constantly.
question, yeah, I mean, the real question is, do we care? I know for
Yeah.
a fact that I give zero shits about what happens in
My
back channels.
have a tree
Right,
with
right,
fucks,
right.
but the tree is barren, so I don't have any to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't care who people want to. such and such to win and whatnot. It doesn't matter to me. It's not gonna affect the way I play. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
All right.
I
So,
mean,
hey,
and
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I did want to touch on that last question. I didn't know that half the league thought I was gonna lose the game against Clint, but to Clint's credit, this is the first time I won against Clint. So,
Okay.
and we
Yeah,
we
that's
played a
that's
few
a
times.
because I mean this season for you has been in some ways a bit epic in the sense that everybody that sort of gave you some trouble in, let's say, season 3 or season 2, you pretty much handled business against them this season.
Uh,
Bengals,
I mean, Bengals
Clint.
gave me trouble. I think that that one season.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I mean, no. Bengals, he's been pretty good. That's one thing I do appreciate though with the AFC. AFC it's been really competitive.
Yeah.
No comment on my
And if I
division
was,
or conference.
I do. I usually enjoy the games that I have with Demi in out of probably
Mm-hmm.
anybody that I played multiple times in the AFC. It usually calls a good defensive game,
Yeah.
and it's so I do appreciate that. It has not been a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it,
It has not.
it surprised me a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. Coming off the year that I had the last Madden, you know, I was like, I got this. I got this because I had a really good Madden last year. But you know, but you gotta prepare. You
Right.
gotta prepare,
Yep.
and
Yep.
if you don't, then you're not gonna get the results that you want. And
Mm-hmm.
I took it for granted. Didn't prepare. I was busy a lot too. I was really, really busy, so pretty good. But the competition definitely, um, it was there. It definitely was
Yeah.
there. It wasn't far from any cakewalk or anything, I would say. I just want to throw that in.
All right. So hey, we are excited for the game tomorrow night. Best of luck to both of you as you compete for number 8. And we will have a post game interview with both coaches after the game. But until then, we're signing off. We need high volume and viewing for Super Bowl 39 in the SFL. Peace.
Peace.